Punk didn't try to look good, it tried to be heard. It didn't ask for attention politely, it demanded it. Ripped paper, uneven letters, ink that feels angry, not because designers didn't know better, but because looking correct stopped meaning anything. When everything feels controlled, messy becomes a message. Punk graphic design didn't come from theory, it came from distrust. From the feeling that institutions, systems and authorities no longer spoke for real people. So here's the real question behind punk design. What happens when people stop trusting institutions and start designing for themselves? Punk design isn't clean, it isn't neutral, and definitely is not polite. It doesn't try to disappear, it doesn't try to reassure you, it reacts. To authority, to perfection, to systems that decide what's correct. For designers, punk becomes a set of visual choices. For everyone else, it reads as attitude. Either way, the message is the same. This wasn't made to fit in, it was made to say something. To understand why punk design looks the way it does, you have to understand what it was responding to. In the mid-70s, music didn't feel accessible anymore. Rock had become professional, polished, distant. Punk was a reaction to that. Bands weren't trying to sound perfect, they were trying to sound immediate, honest, and unfiltered. And once that energy existed, it needed a way to spread. Shows had to be announced, scenes had to find each other, messages had to move fast, without waiting for approval from labels, publishers, or institutions. That's where the design comes in. Punk design didn't start in studios. It started in small rooms, with cheap printers, photocopiers, scissors, and glue. There wasn't time to refine, there wasn't money to polish, there was urgency. Flyers had to be made fast, scenes had to be copied tonight, messages had to travel without permission. That's why punk design looked the way it does. Not because rebellion for its own sake, but because rebellion was the most efficient option available. Out of this environment, certain voices become unmistakable. Jamie Reid's work for the Sex Pistols didn't look broken, it looked accused. Images were vandalized, type felt stolen, cut, and misused. It wasn't about aesthetics, it was about distrust. Language itself had lost credibility, so it had to be rebuilt from fragments. From other side we have Raymond Pettibon, which took a different approach, but with the same tension. Raw drawings, awkward figures, and text that doesn't explain itself. Not branding, not clarity, just confrontation. His work doesn't guide you, it challenges you to stay. And behind much of this, Vivienne Westwood and Malcom McLaren understand something essential. Punk wasn't just music, it was presentation. Clothes, posters, record covers, everything became part of the same statement. Design wasn't supporting the message. Design was the message. In the end, punk design wasn't defined by skill, it was defined by access. You didn't need permission, you didn't need polished graphics, you didn't need the right tools. If you had something to say, you already had enough to say it. That belief shaped the music, it shaped the clothes, and it shaped the design. Punk wasn't chaos for sake of chaos, it was clarity. Arrive at the fastest way possible. So, what actually makes punk design feel aggressive? Because it's not random. Punk design keeps repeating the same kind of choices over and over until they start to feel like a language. Instead of explaining that in theory, let's look at this poster. Everything you see here is doing something on purpose. And once you know what to look for, you start spotting the same decisions everywhere. Let's start with the most obvious one, typography. Look at the letters. They don't feel selected, they feel found. Some look torn, some look scanned, some feel almost scratched on top. They don't align politely. That's how you recognize punk type. It doesn't try to look correct. That roughness rejects polish, because clean corporate typography belongs to systems punk never trusted. Now, let's take a look on the layout. Nothing sits calmly in this place. Elements overlap, text crosses images, and shapes in the wrap faces. Your eye doesn't get a clean path to follow. This layout feels assembled, like pieces were pushed together until they worked. That collision creates urgency. It feels like the message mattered more than making it neat. Moving on, let's check the contrast. This poster hits hard because of extremes: black against white, hot pink against darkness, quiet areas smashed next to visual noise. There is no soft entry point. Your eye is forced to choose somewhere to land and then immediately gets pulled somewhere else. That aggression isn't decoration, it's functional. If the message doesn't grab you instantly, it disappears. Now pay attention to imperfection. Look closely. Misaligned text, uneven spacing, edges that feel rough and unstable. These aren't mistakes, they are signals. They tell you a human was here, hands touched this. Perfection will feel obedient, this doesn't. And finally, let's talk about color. The palette is limited, mostly black and white with loud interruptions of pink and yellow. These colors aren't here to harmonize, they are here to cut through. They underline urgency, they add tension, and they refuse neutrality. All these choices do the same thing. They doesn't guide you gently, they don't try to make you comfortable. They force you to engage. That's why punk design feels aggressive, not because it's messy, but because it's intentional. Punk design isn't trying to make you feel safe. It's trying to make you feel present. After checking its history and characteristics, you might ask yourself why punk design still matters now. Punk design might come from the past, but its relevance is very current. Today, almost everything looks professional. AI can generate perfect layouts, brands follow the same systems, algorithms reward familiarity, nothing is technically wrong. But something feels missing. When everything is clean, clean stops meaning anything. Punk design matters because it introduces friction. It reminds us that design can take a position, that it can sound human, even uncomfortable. In a world optimized for polished images, roughness became contrast, and contrast creates meaning. To summarize it, I would like to talk about how punk design was never about breaking rules. It was about choosing which rules were worth respecting and which ones must be broken. It rejected polish, not intention. It rejected authority, not communication, and that's why it still matters. Because sometimes the most honest design isn't the cleanest one, it's the one that refuses to pretend. Hope you find this video useful and help you understand more about punk culture and its importance in graphic design. I also would like to know your opinion about this style in the comments. And if you like this type of videos, you can subscribe to this channel to not miss any video. Thank you for watching and see you in the next video. Ciao!